Hey, what's going on YouTube? It's GeneralTarheel, your coach at Charizards, bringing you the P4G Next Generation Season 1 Week 7 battle. First coach all blitz Teemo and the California Castforms. Coming to Week 7, we did unfortunately get a loss last week against Coach Jacob as always in the Green Bay Pikachus. Make sure to check that out if you haven't yet. It was a very close battle and a very solid one in my opinion. And as for this week, we are taking on my boy Teemo, and I feel like it's a pretty interesting matchup, and I feel like we still can get a hang of it, you know, hopefully get more kills with Kieran Black, as it is the kill leader right now in the season, and I'm hoping it can continue, considering there are some Ubers in here, and the fact that Kieran Black is still a monster in a low-tier Uber format is ridiculous. But still, not too shocking. So quickly, I'm going to go over my boy Teemo's roster real quick. His roster consists of Kartana, Infernape, Sableye, Galvantula, Quagsire, Castform, Mega Altaria, Clefable, Steelix, Cloyster, and Oricorio, which I believe he gets all the forms for that. And he does have the Normalium Z. Now, things just looking at with this roster really quick, Kartana is kind of a threat for my team. Infernape's always a threat for teams, really, even though I can handle it a little well. Infernape's always pretty dangerous. Mega Altaria is an amazing Pokemon. It's kind of hard to check, but I think I had a decent amount of things this time. Clefable's a little bit annoying, I have to agree to that for like my Mega Diancie and Kieran Black a little bit. Clefable can be annoying. And other than that, I think my team really just kind of tears apart the rest. As personally I always say, all I have to do is Sticky Webs, of course, and his Galvantula. So as for the team building, I was like, okay, I need to either have my Magic Bounce, Spin, or Defog. I prefer to have two of those, whether it be Magic Bounce, Spin, Magic Bounce, Defog, or Spin and Defog. Either way, I felt like I wanted to have two chances of getting rid of his possible one, Dual Spikes and Cloisters, and two Webs in Galvantula, because those would be really annoying this matchup. But he also had decent Rock Setters in Clefable and Steelix that I had to watch out for, so there was that. But as for the team, I'm going to start it off with the kill captain, Kieran Black. We got the ICMZ bringing it once again this week with Freeze Shock, Ice Beam, Earth Power, Roost. Mixed attacker with a decent amount of speed. Absolutely obliterates his team. There's no reason for me not to bring this. Icy once again just picks up a kill. I can easily get a little bit damage off of Clefable, and then Icy will kill afterwards, whether that be an Ice Beam on switch-in for the Clefable and stuff like that. Roost just gives me kind of longevity because it does actually just destroy his team after a little bit. And Ice Plus Ground is really all the coverage I need versus his team. Sure, I would appreciate it a little bit more, but Ice Plus Ground really just puts in the work versus him. Next up is Mega Diancie. I have a Moonblast, Diamond Storm, Earth Power, Hidden Power, Grass, Mixed Attacker, more so Special Attack invested. The reasoning behind this set is, once again, it just destroys his team. It puts in damage on Clef, it destroys Sableye, and it's a good check to a lot of his offensive Pokemon like Kartana and Infernape, unless they are, of course, Choice Scarf. So that's a good scout out for that. Also gives me a good check to Galvantula, stuff like that, Magic Bounce for Webs and his other potential hazards, or like potential Taunt and Sableye, stuff like that. It'd be very beneficial this game. I ran Hidden Power Grass because if he is a Spadef Quagsire, he will not, or Moonblast will not two-shot him if he is Spadef Lefties. So I wanted to bring in Power Grass for that specific reason. Also, if Quagsire just comes in for free after I pick up a kill, I want to make sure I can still capitalize on that, because I'm really not expecting it to be Rindoberry this week. I would expect Leftovers or some other form of health regen, because Rindoberry doesn't really benefit him too much. I mean, some Hidden Power Grasses might be a little bit obvious on my side, but just wasn't really expecting it. Next up is Nidoqueen. I have Stealth Rock, Earth Power, Sludge Wave, Taunt, and we are a defensive Nidoqueen. This is because I need a defensive check to Infernape and Kartana. This also helps out with a few other Pokemon I have on the team. Nidoqueen also gives me a defensive check to Mega Altaria, even though a special attacking set would benefit him more this game, which I was very afraid of. I had to bring a defensive one just because Dragon Dance is more capable of sweeping me than a special set. So, Stealth Rocks, of course, would be very helpful versus this team. It doesn't do too much to anything, but more so I'm looking to break Sashes and the possible Galvantula and the Cloyster. Those are the main reasoning behind that. Taunt's just very helpful for some of his bulky Pokemon, like Sableye, Quagsire, Clefable. It's just be really helpful for the team. Next up is Blastoise. I have a defensive Blastoise with the Papa Berry with Haze, Scald, Toxic, and Rapid Spin. Reasoning behind this is basically just another defensive counter to Infernape, as well as a defensive counter to Cloyster. I was debating between another Pokemon, which I think it was Entei. I think I was debating Entei as right now, but I really wanted to go Blastoise, simply because I was going to lose to Cloyster otherwise. The thing is such a threat after it gets +2 versus my team. It's just very scary. As well if it's Normalium Z with Explosion, because then it just picks up a kill versus a Pokemon that might actually be a counter. So it's really threatening. Luckily Blastoise does live that after +2 Normalium Z Explosion. It does live that from full, so I have to make sure to keep Blastoise healthy until I can at least scout the Cloyster or get rid of it. And then next up, I also brought a defensive Tangrowth. This was to deal with the Kartana. It is holding the Tanga Berry. And we have Earthquake, Cannon Power, Fire, Sludge Bomb, and Giga Drain coverage for his entire team. Basically, the Tanga Berry allows me to live a +2 Kartana X Scissor if it's holding Life Orb. If it's holding Life Orb, it would knock me out. Luckily, he cannot run Bug and EMZ, but as long as he has the Life Orb, he will be knocking out a max defensive Tangrowth, so the Tanga Berry ensures that I'm a direct counter to Kartana. There's a chance he gets rid of my item with either knockoff on that or other Pokemon, but Kartana wouldn't be too much of a threat otherwise. As long as it's not a speed boosting set, I will be able to deal with it with like my Mega Dynasty or my Assaultor. So I'm not really too worried about Kartana unless it is Scarfed or unless it is the speed boosting Sword Stance. But if it's the speed boosting Sword Stance, Tangrowth would be able to eat a hit from it. And lastly, we do have a Selgor, because I felt like this Pokemon was going to put in a decent amount of work this week, and I was really hoping it would. We have the Focus Sash with Spikes, Bug Buzz, Sludge Bomb, Giga Drain. Just throw on the Focus Sash, didn't know what else to put on really. And Spikes is just kind of helpful versus his team. He doesn't have the best removal in my opinion. Spin Cloyster is not really a thing, and then Defog, Mega Altaria, and Kartana, not the best. So if I could capitalize on that, I definitely could this game. And Bug Buzz, Sludge Bomb, Giga Drain just gives me enough coverage versus his team to where I can definitely put in work. So now, I've been talking for like 6 minutes, so y'all definitely want to get into the battle. As we see, the Pokemon I brought was Cloyster, Castform, Sableye, Kartana, Galvantula, and Quagsire. I was really surprised by this, more so, well, first of all, props to him for bringing the Castform, props to him for drafting in the first place, because it is his mascot, and it's not exactly the best Pokemon, only have basic 70s around. But I knew Cloyster was going to come because it's a threat. Sableye I was somewhat expecting. I wasn't actually too sure if it was going to come. Kartana I was expecting. Galvantula I was expecting. Quagsire I was expecting. So more so just Sableye and Castform kind of threw me off. I was expecting one of his fairy types, whether it be Mega Altaria or Clefable or both, because they did have a decent matchup. But luckily he didn't decide to bring them. He decided to bring some potential heat, so I do have to watch out for that. But at the start of the battle, I really just wanted to leave my Nidoqueen. It had a great matchup versus his entire team, and it does counter the potential, not really counter, but it does give me a decent, option versus Galvantula if he decides to go Web's lead. So as we kick off the battle, I do just want to lead with my Nidoqueen. It does seem like the best option for me. It can put in a lot of work versus his team. And as we kick off this battle, we will see that he decides to lead with Tefiti, which is the Cloyster. So this Cloyster is actually really dangerous versus my team, but since he decided to lead with it, I wasn't so sure if he was actually a Shell Smash set. He might be a possible Hazard Stack set, and I really don't want that versus my team. Even though I do have Spin and whatnot, I'd rather just deal with it accordingly. So he actually Shell Smashes turn 1. I went for the Sludge Wave here because 1, Icicle Spear does not knock me out from the original hit, unless he's like Choice Band Cloyster, which I would definitely not be calculating for. But it is a potential possibility, but it's just a better sweeper. So I went for the Sludge Wave if I stayed in, because if he was bulky, then he probably wouldn't have speed for the Nidoqueen, and I had a chance of knocking it out. But he decided to Shell Smash. I go for Sludge Wave. He does so. He is Focus Sash. So basically, I have to stack a Pokemon here because I need to get in Blastoise in healthy, because he will land all 5 hits, and I really don't want to risk one of those hits being critical hits on my Blastoise, because any like unnecessary critical hits, like 2 or more, would possibly mean that Rock Blast can clean me up after, which I really don't want. So I decided to stack a Selgor. I decided to have more of a possible defensive checks in the back than just a full-out offensive Pokemon, because his team does show to be decently offensive, and all of the Pokemon I have can deal with them accordingly. So I go into Blastoise here as he just is in with his Cloyster, and he's just going to spam Rock Blast, and he does get 2 critical hits in a row, which is pretty annoying. So he takes me down below 50, he has me around the 40% range, but I just click Scald because he doesn't really have Switch in, since the Quagsire should be unaware. And Cloyster will go down turn 2, so, or turn 3, turn 4, turn 3. Either way, it's gone. It's much easier to deal with. And he will go into Kartana right here. This is perfectly fine by me. I was scared of him going into Galvantula and getting up free webs versus me, but luckily he goes into Kartana first. So I will just go right into my Tangrowth. I can deal with this thing 100%. This is a direct counter as he just goes for the knockoff. I wasn't too sure about his item at this point, but I'm staying in and clicking Hidden Power Fire in case he thinks he's safe to go for an X-Scissor. But he decides to click knockoff again. I guess he was assuming a double. There was really no reason to me trying to play that because I could work around any Pokemon that wanted to come in pretty well. Nothing necessarily wanted to come into Hidden Power Fire. And if it was like Sableye, for example, Mega Diancie comes on in that freely. So he will go into Galvantula here. I'm going to stay in and scout whether this is Life Orb or Focus Sash. If it's Focus Sash, I want to go ahead and get rid of it. And if it's Life Orb and for some reason goes for an Electric type attack, I will go ahead and knock out this Galvantula. But he will go for Bug Buzz and he will knock out my Tangrowth. Perfectly fine with this. Kartana is gone. That's all I really needed Tangrowth for. And none of the Pokemon he really has left I necessarily need Tangrowth for. So I get to go into Diancie now that I know it does Life Orb. It cannot live on one with any attack I decide to go for. This is basically a free kill because Moonblast into anything does pick up a kill versus his team. So as I go into my Mega Diancie, I will just click Moonblast. It did a min around 95 to Galvantula, so it was definitely free for me to click. So I will just go for the Moonblast as he decides to switch into a shiny Quagsire right here. And we will do almost 50% to the Quagsire, which is really nice damage. Just to get the special attack drop, probably didn't matter. I'm assuming he was Earthquake anyways. Or he would just went with Scald. Either way, I was staying in here because I had the Hidden Power Grass. Perfectly fine. It was going to live through that and whatnot. He was actually potentially going to try to recover off versus me as well. So the Hidden Power Grass just picked up the for sure kill. Now he goes into Sableye versus me, and I'm pretty confused because I thought Mega Diancie was just winning at this point. And at first I was assuming he was At first I was assuming he was Babiri Metal Sound. But the more obvious play, of course, is that he's just Prankster Rain Dance to get in his Castform. And at this point, I'm like, Castform's actually a threat right now. With Hurricane plus Hydro Pump, why is this thing actually a threat? What's funny is that Mega Diancie, of course, eats the Hydro Pump outside of the rain. But other than that, I do have to actually switch out versus this Castform. Castform is a threat right now. Like, my face is this right here when I say that Castform is a threat. I have that Quagsire face when I think Castform is actually like a threat for like the first time in my life. I'm going to switch in the Blastoise on the Hydro Pump. We eat it, and it will get me right into my Papa Berry to where we get our health right back up, and then that does allow me to eat another Hydro Pump, and I could get off a potential Scald right here. If he wants to switch, that's perfectly fine, because he would go into Galvantula, and he will take a lot, because this is a rain-boosted Scald, and I still do have the potential of a Burn, and Burn plus Life Orb on his attacks will be so beneficiary to my team. So as I go for the Scald right here, we take out the Galvantula down to red, and we do get the Burn, which is very, very nice. This Galvantula is going to be very, very useless at this point, as I'm just going to switch out, make sure he cannot knock out my Blastoise, because I do want another potential counter to the Castform, as I'm just going to go into Nidoqueen. Luckily, we switch in on the Thunder. Fortunately, he will not take Life Orb Recoil because of that, but I am hoping he goes down to the next Burn here, as I'm just going to go into my Kyurem Black, because one, if he goes and he switches in on Sticky Webs, it's perfectly fine. Because Ice Beam Z from Kyurem Black almost knocks out Castform. Basically, I just need it in range to where Scald can pick it off at any moment, where Scald does a min 30 in rain with Blastoise. But he unfortunately goes for the Sticky Webs, and he does live on the Burn by like 1 or 2 HP. So then I have to deal with this Galvantula a little bit more. I want to keep my Kyurem Black healthy because it can eat a few Hurricanes, and it really just comes out of fusions on Kyurem Black with that Castform if he just opts to go for those. So I'm going to switch into Nidoqueen on the potential Bug Buzz, which does come out right here, and he will go down to Life Orb this turn. Unfortunately, none of my Pokemon pick up the kill since they go down into its own Life Orb. But this Galvantula is out of the way, and now we just have to deal with the Castform. And it's like, okay, this Castform might pick up one more kill, but hopefully he doesn't hack me out with Hurricane Confusions to where I'm still in a very solid point to win, because Blastoise can eat a hit, and Kyurem Black can eat 2 hits from Hurricane. So it really just comes down to whether or not he can hit them and then get the Confusion. In Rain, of course, it is 100% accurate. So I'm staying in with Nidoqueen, getting off potential Sludge Wave in case he misses Hydro Pump, but he actually opts to go for the Hurricane. He does get a crit, which doesn't really matter too much, as I'm going to get off Sludge Wave and we'll bring down this Castform to 50%. Very solid damage. I'm going to get my Black Sludge recovery back, as we're just going to stay in still, same play, and he just continuously clicks Hurricane. I think he wanted to get the 100% and hope for Confusion, and then he would feel safer to click Hydro Pump. I feel like that was his reasoning, but I feel like Hydro Pump was his only play still right there. But luckily we do click Sludge Wave twice, and we will take out the Castform. So picking up a very, very solid 4-0 versus All Blitz Teemo and the California Castforms. So luckily we do pick up another win, so now we go from 3-3 to 4-3, which is not too bad. I'm just hoping to win from here on out, because I'm not trying to catch any more losses, just like the APA. You already know how it is. And hopefully we can continue this next week as well as into the APA for the current week. So that'll be it from me, guys. Make sure to check out all this Teemo's point of view to see his reasoning for the plays and what he expected for me to bring in the battle and stuff like that. Make sure to go show him some love as well as everyone else in the league. But that'll be it from me today, so make sure to sub, like, share, deuces.